for new players and old players alike, we've decided that we are going to go through all the rec guides and talk about the mechs that are in them. Now, we're just going to talk about the variants that are in each rec guide. So we're not going to go off much on different mechs outside the rec guides. That'll be kind of people can go and explore them in their own space, and never know, we might get to them if people actually want to see more of this stuff.
I know I do, because when I heard that there is a Warhawk with 2 plasma rifles, I mean, it just sounds fun.
And I guess for a bit of context, I've been playing BattleTech since about 1986 when I was a kid and didn't understand the rules and just saw it as like Robotech, but I was quite wrong. And I know Pirate has a little bit newer to the game.
Yeah, so I started last summer doing tabletop, walking in and going, "What is this? I can't really afford Warhammer 40,000, and I haven't really played it in 15 years, but would like to get into some tabletop wargaming, and I've been a fan of BattleTech since the MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries video game when I was 8. Just probably not a good age to be playing a mercenary game, but no, I've had tons and tons of fun learning the different mechs, like almost like different Pokemon, and just seeing how all these different cool combinations can combine, along with the lore, along with it's just a very different gaming experience than the normal rock paper scissors. I've had tons of fun with it, but I need more, which is where the retcon guys come in. So I really appreciate people like you that have actually been playing since the rules were made, and they haven't really changed over 40 years either, if I understand it right.
No, for good and for bad, they haven't changed that much. This is kind of all. These rec guides are a bit of a soft reboot. As all their plastic models started coming out, they kind of rehashed and refreshed the book range and kind of made them a bit more streamlined. If you look, all the artwork now looks to scale with everything. If you look at some of the old TROs, where they used to be called technical readouts, there were mechs that just look like, how did that stand up? Now these actually look more functional, and you can see they put a bit more thought into it. So it's a bit of a soft reboot to refresh the whole line for the 21st century.
Yeah. Well, some of those mechs, like anybody that wants extra homework, go look up the Lobo. I think that is one of the goofiest looking mechs. It looks like Stickman gone mad. But there's
It's the Vulcan for me. That's a terrible looking mech. It just looks weird.
Yeah. But that
But
said,
anyway,
I've got my Iron Wind order here of the goofy metal mechs from the 80s that I still want to play with. So let's take a look at some of the newer stuff, though.
yeah, some of this stuff is very new. So I guess the first cab off the rack, we're doing recognition guide Ilclan Volume 1. We're going to start with that. This is kind of our test bed. See how we go. See if people actually want to see any more. We're going to try and keep them to 30, 45 minutes, but who knows? We might just end up talking. We'll try and edit it out the best we can. And then we will start. So the first mech off the rank is the Griffin. It's been around since day dot. However, it's got some very nice new loadouts through introductory and into advanced tech. So the first one, Pirate, we've got is the Griffin 1DS.
I'm pulling it up on the screen now if I can find the word Griffin somewhere in this PDF. Let's see. There are 46 instances of the word Griffin, but scrolling through, flip, flip, flip. All right, so I've got the actual picture of it here with its new tactical model, and going further down, the record sheet for the Griffin 1DS up on the screen here.
I can't see. I can't actually see the
Oh,
screen at the moment, but that's okay.
gotcha.
I've got it up on my
Got it.
computer. But hang on, I can.
Pretend there's a paper doll with a bunch of circles on it. That's what.
I'm looking at it on my screen. I brought it up. So
Gotcha.
this one's pretty straightforward. It's one large pulse laser in the right arm and an ORM-20. There's not much to say about it, really. It's basic. It's easy to use. 585. It's a Griffin.
Yeah.
I don't know what to add to that.
So compare what's
Dealer,
how's this different than the regular standard Griffin that comes in the introductory box that most people probably know?
from memory, I think that's just got a PPC and an LRM-10. So two snipey things, and from memory, like the heat sinks, it can sort of fire both weapons, jump, and then has to cool down every now and again. This one looks like, yeah, I mean, it's got enough heat sinks, it could fire everything and jump and be fine.
Yep, so it can generate 16 heat and jump for 5, so that makes it 21, but it can sink 28?
Yeah, it's a bit oversynced, but it's keeping to the spirit of the Griffin, which is one energy weapon and one missile weapon. It's just upgraded your pulse laser, so you can jump around with that large pulse laser and get some bonus hits. It's a nice little mech for people. It's not a bad mech for new players to pick up a little bit of new tech, double hit and a large pulse laser, gets them in the door. I've got no problems with it.
I like it for a few reasons, compared to the standard Griffin, and probably more pricey, but one thing I didn't like a standard Griffin, I don't like about this one too, is the fact that it still doesn't have like any support weapons. So it's basically long range weapons. That's it, and I know that's kind of its purpose, but I don't. I feel like it just needs more. You know, like if it had a medium laser or something, like it'd be a little more rounded.
Yeah, so yeah, it's not a bad mech. I mean, it probably would have been better off with an ERPPC and the LRM-20,
Yeah.
but there is a version with an ERPPC and LRM-20. It's just not in the rec guide.
Yeah. I mean, I like that it has the pulse laser. Yeah, well, it's going to jump, so the pulse laser means it can kind of do that skirmish action. The LRM-20 has more heft to it, but that's what it was. I was like, there was something else I didn't like about the regular Griffin, and it was with the long range weapons, you're probably not going to be jumping too much, because you're already taking a long range shot. So if say you're a regular inner sphere pilot, you're 4 or 5. All right, so you're 4, you jump, so that gets you up to a 7, and then you're shooting at long range with these weapons. You're already at 11s before the enemy's TMM and any cover and other stuff. That's what it was. Jumping and long range, kind of like the catapult. I kind of struggle with that.
I think it's just there to get it out of trouble or reposition for a better shot.
Yeah.
All right, we've probably spent way too long on this idea. So
Next.
let's move on to the next one. Which I actually like this next one, which is the 1RG.
Hmm.
This is a time of war, Age of War mech. So this is like back when the first battle mechs were getting around. So it's actually quite well for a time of war mech. It's Age of War. It's got a large laser, 3 mediums, 2 smalls, and 2 machine guns, and 17 heat sinks, and a reasonable amount of armor. It doesn't jump though, so you can't have your cake and eat it too. It's not a bad skirmisher for this time period. Like I find the Age of War, a lot of the mechs are all much of a muchness because of the technology around. But I don't mind this one. I think it's quite good, and I would probably never use it because I don't really play much Age of War. But if I did, I would probably put this in my list, and it's quite cheap, 1.1 PV.
Yep. So yeah, 167. So a little under 1,200. And I was actually
Which is not bad.
no, I mean, and you know what? So first thing I was like, no jump jets. This must be a correct of some sort. But then I thought, oh, hold on, this looks a lot like the Introtech Wolverine. So like the 6R. So I've got that pulled up here. The 6R is 1,101 BV, and that mech. Let me pull him up real quick. So it's got Flex pulled up here. the Wolverine 6R for 60 BV more instead of an autocannon, a medium laser, and an SRM6. You get what feels like a lot more weapons. Three mediums, a large, two smalls, two machine guns. I don't like Griffins. I would take that over a Wolverine, the Intro Tech one, almost
Yeah.
any day.
And with 17 heat sinks, it can fire a fair few of those weapons and hadn't had too many heat problems. So I don't mind it. It's fine. Oh, I must add, anyone, if we make mistakes on eras or anything like that, just let us know because we're doing this kind of on the fly and from memory. So it's we're probably bound to make. Don't go. No, excuse me. You can just let us. You can just tell us if we've made an error. It's fine.
Actually, it's pronounced
Okay.
Graphene.
Graphene. Um, so the one RG, it's more of a succession war mech. As you can see, it's had all the good tech stripped out. So it'd be like when we bombed each other back to the Stone Age, just before they found the Helm memory core, they'd probably be using this Griffin. Right. What's next? The 2N.
Hmm? So,
The 2N.
this one, I got to.
Not bad.
Alright, so the Griffin 2N is Starleague era with its ERPPC and two SRM6s and an ECM. So, 585, it's got Pharaoh and Endo and no XL engine, which is useful, so it doesn't go splody boom too easily, but no case for the SRM6s. And it has 11 doubles, so 22. So a little bit of a heat issue, but not a lot. You can jump in, fire everything, and jump away and cool down. I don't mind it. It's fine. 1600. It's pricier than obviously the previous one. That's only 1100, but then it doesn't have any new.
It's not necessarily my favorite mech ever, but if I was going to pilot a Griffin, I could do a lot worse than this because I got the chance to play it the other day or against it, and those SRM6s. You remember when I was saying about really wish it had a backup weapon of some sort? Those SRM6s fit really nicely for punch a hole with the ERPPC, and then you start crit seeking all inside of there.
Yeah, that's not bad. I don't mind it. That's probably all there is to say on it. Really, it's nothing. It's nothing good. It's nothing bad. It's like an average mech. The ECM is good. Obviously, disrupting those C3 networks that you probably see more in Mega Mech than you will see on tabletop. Just on tabletop, trying to keep track of ECMs and C3s is difficult and annoying and slows the game down. I don't really use it on tabletop, but I will use things like that in Mega Mech that does it all for me.
Now, what about this next one though? The 3M.
The 3M. So this is the one that we were talking about, saying a PPC with LRM20 would be good, and voila, the 3M. This has been around. This was basically when the clans invaded, they did an update of their mechs, and this was one of them where they just basically put an ER PPC onto the PPC, chucked on an XL engine, and made the LRM10 into an LRM20, and put it on double heat sinks, and away it went.
And if I'm looking at this right, the ERPPC does 15 heat, the LRM20 does 6. They can jump for 5. As long as you don't fire that small laser, it's heat neutral.
Pretty much, yeah. So it's a good can jump around. It's got 2 tons of ammo. Yep. So 12 shots. That's not bad. I always think about it now in MRC turns and rounds. That's most of round shooting. So that's how I look at a lot of mechs ammos these days. Is if I can get 12 to 15 rounds of shooting, that's probably all I need.
Yeah, it's not like a campaign where you need 50 rounds of SRM2 just waiting to explode on you.
Yeah, exactly right. So it's fine. It's 1500, so it's a little bit cheaper than the Griffin with the 2 SRM6s. A different role though. It's more of a sit back and snipe, and then use your jump jets to get around to a better position or get away from the heavier mechs as they come towards you. It's got enough damage that us heavies and assaults will have to deal with it because an LRM20 and ERPVC can throw out a fair bit of damage.
Nothing else, it'll start doing PSRs because even if you roll average on that LRM20, That's 20 damage a turn.
Yeah, and you've got 2 tons, so if you really wanted to, you could chuck in some different kinds of ammo, your swarms or your landmine, your mines, and that kind of thing. So I don't really use a lot of different kinds of LRM ammo, but some people really like it, so they've probably got a better opinion on it than I would. And the next mech is the 3N 585. Most of these Griffins are 585. There's one that obviously is only jumping. ERPPC and an enhanced LRM-10 with Artemis 4. So the enhanced LRM-10 was just the version Innisphere thought they could make a LRM that cuts down the minimum ranges. It's slightly heavier. I think it's LRM-10 enhanced, and it only has a minimum range of 3. So that's the advantage.
Well,
I'm not sure if they're worth it, to be honest.
that
But
takes care of the backup weapon about, at least you can shoot something short range.
yeah,
But yeah,
but they are,
do you really want, Artemis 4 and LRM-10s though?
yeah, that's it's almost like a test bed concept. Like, yes, we can put it on, so we did.
We're gonna put
I
it
don't,
on just to show off.
yeah, I don't think I'd use it over. I think I'd probably use the Griffin 3M, the previous one. They're literally almost the same points, 1521, and the Griffin 3N is 1560. I think I'd prefer the LRM-20 with the PPC, to be honest.
I agree.
No XL engine on the 3N though, so it is a bit more survivable, but yeah, it's just a bit underwhelming.
I'd agree with you there.
So the 3RG. So this looks like pretty much a upgrade of the Griffin 1 RG, which was that skirmisher mech that doesn't have jump jet. So it's just a straight 5.8 jump jet sinks, heat sinks at 24, and now basically we've got some pulse weapons. So we've got a large pulse, a medium laser, another medium pulse, a small pulse, a machine gun, a medium pulse, small pulse, and a machine gun. So it's definitely good at getting in close, firing, and then trying to run away. At 5.8, it might not run away that well.
Well, but I wonder what that RG stands for because I do really appreciate the just laser boats. And I've got Griffin models that I don't really, like I said, I don't really like using the regular ones because I'm not more of a jumpy skirmisher at long range. But
Do
this,
I dare to say RG stands for Recognition Guide?
oh, V.
I don't know. Maybe. And it's only 1,200 points, so it's actually really cheap.
Yeah. I was
So
trying to figure out what the
yeah,
weakness is on it. I mean, it's got machine gun, but it's got ammo in one side with no case, but that's not really a huge
no,
detriment.
it's got case. If you look up into
Oh,
the
it
left
does.
torso, yeah,
Yeah,
it's got
it's.
case.
I'm used to flex sheets, so looking at the official guides a little harder. But yeah,
Yeah,
I see that it does have case. So yeah, it's a
and no
decent
XL
mech.
engine, so I don't mind it. It's only another 100 or so points than the introductory tech one. So why wouldn't you take this?
Yeah, exactly.
It'd actually be a good 1-2 punch with the other Griffin with the ERPPC and the LRM-20. If you had two, why not have the skirmisher to protect it and run out and harass? It's fine. It is a bit slow for a skirmisher. You'd want to maybe have something with a supercharger or a mask or up the engine a bit, 6.9 or 7. 5.8 is okay.
Does it have
You
enough?
wouldn't want to be.
Does it have enough heat sinks? I'm looking 10, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, it's got plenty.
Yeah, yeah. So it's not bad. I would use it.
Yep,
I would quite
I would use it too.
happily use it.
This would give me a reason to paint up all the griffins I've got in all these boxes.
I was going to say there are many more griffins than this. So the Griffin 6R. 585. We're back again. It is 1500 BV and 10. So it's got 10 double heat sinks. It's weapons. We've got a rotary AC2, saw laser, a Thunderbolt 10, and an ECM suite. So this is a bit of an interesting one. They've tried to go a bit of a different route. So you've got, instead of your energy main sniper, you've got a rotary AC2, which I don't know. I don't like rotary AC2s per se. They just, their damage output's not that great. I could, they're fine. Oh,
Oh nope,
you still there?
I'm still here. I was starting to get a little laggy, so I just killed the camera since I'm not showing it. So tell me about that Thunderbolt 10. I've never fired one. What is that?
So basically, a Thunderbolt 10 is it does 10 points of damage. So you fire it, and it just does a straight 10 points at one location. So it's like an autocannon missile, as opposed to missiles that do scatter.
Oh.
However, the issue about a Thunderbolt is they still react to AMS. If they hit you once, then you lose your Thunderbolt missile. So that's the down. I think, let me just quickly, hate people yelling at us right now going, yes, they are.
Yeah,
They
I do
are
remember
locked
that.
in.
Yeah, I do remember something about AMS and Thunderbolts, and I think it's like you roll a d6, and on like a 1 through 3 something it explodes, or something like that.
Yeah, they basically work as the same way as an anti-missile. If you knock down a missile, you just lose it. So it's very susceptible to AMS systems. So they're fine, but because of the AMS issue, people don't really feel them. But you can get Thunderbolt 5s, 10s, 15s, and 20s. So if you hit with a Thunderbolt 20, they're in trouble, but they can get quite heavy too. That's the other thing.
Is there really any advantage to that over an autocannon? Like, it seems like an autocannon, you can do alternative ammos, they're probably cheaper, I guess.
Yeah, let's say, so a Thunderbolt 20 obviously does 20 points of damage, has minimum range of 5, does 8 heat, which is about the comparable to an AC 20. Goes slightly further, 18, they all go 18 hexes.
Oh.
So it goes slightly further, 15 tons, and you only get 3 shots per ton. So I think the penalties outweigh the positives. Unless there's someone here who uses them and tells them what I'm missing, I don't think they're that great.
Yeah, I'd rather take an autocannon 10 or 5 compared to the Thunderbolt, but also that now the Thunderbolt 20 going 18 though,
but it is 15 tons. You could get a Gauss rifle for about the same tonnage.
Yeah, unless it's
not
just
affected by AMS.
Unless it's just so much cheaper.
True. I haven't looked at BV. What's the BV for a 306? 306 for the launcher. So I'd say it's a bit cheaper for what's a Gauss rifle? BV, just out of interest. 306 for the launcher, and Gauss rifle is. Oh, come on.
It's it looks like you're looking at the Thunderbolt because that's 306.
Yeah. Just looking at the BV is 320. Oh, okay, it's not that much. Oh, that's not much more. Doesn't tell me what the clan one is though. I don't know if I'm assuming that's in the sphere. That's not that much more than the Thunderbolt. So I don't think the Thunderbolt is that great. If anyone has experience with the Thunderbolt, please tell us, because I would like to know. I've never really used it.
Good way to get on Mega Mech and just start using Thunderbolts. You know what? I may take one out of spite the next time I play somebody now.
Yeah, some of these things I do, they may tempt me to try it. Now, this Griffin coming up next is
the C.
The C. Oh my! I didn't really look at this closely the first time I saw it. So I just saw 6'9" and I didn't see the jumping number. And I went
What?
696. And then I saw it. I went, hang on, that's not a 6, that's a 9. So this is the Griffin C. So this is the clan version of the Griffin. Basically, they left, to leave the Star League, and then they eventually refitted their mechs, and they made this beast. So it goes 6-9, and it jumps 9. And it has an ERPPC, clan, and a streak LRM 10. So, and 20, yeah, so 11 double heat sinks, so 22. So it's going to have a little bit of heat, but not that much that you're going to get too worried about it. And with 9 jump, you can just jump away, cool down, and come back.
That is a lot of junk capacity. So this would be a great mech for objective grabbing because it's got such long range. You could jump in, get to the objective. You're going to be in short range at was that 7 hexes, so you can pop somebody pretty easily, reliably, and then start jumping away as needed.
Yeah, and its ammunition is extremely efficient because there's just like the Streak SRMs, your Streak LRMs only fire when they get a lock.
So there's
So
really
you're
no
not wasting
penalty.
ammo.
Whoa, not wasting heat either. So
Yeah,
15
exactly right.
plus 4 and improved jump jets. That's like 1 per every 2, right?
You can jump up to your running speed. So yeah.
Oh, no, no, no. I meant in terms of heat. So it's really only
Oh
going to
yeah.
generate like 5 heat, maybe?
Yes. Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but either way, you're not going to. Because I've got a New Zeal I love that's like that, the 8S with improved jump jets. It jumps 8. But if I'm remembering it right, so this would probably do like 24 heat if it jumped 9 and alpha striped. That's crazy that it only goes up by 2 on the heat scale.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty good. And even if it's not jumping, moving at 6-9, it's fast. It's got a reasonable amount of armor. I mean, its center torso holds 25. Like, I think it's near max, if not maxed. Most of the Griffins here all have about the same amount of armor. So it's reasonably tough. It's pretty mobile. Well, extremely mobile. It is 2.2131 BV. So the BV is up, but it is all clan tech. That's still reasonably cheap, but I always look at clan tech 2.1 and then add in your 3-4 pilot, so another 25%. So what's that, about 2.6, 2.7?
Yep.
That's not bad for a medium. That's on the upper echelon, but at 9 jump, that's pretty damn good. That's really good. It doesn't have a large pulse laser that everyone's just going to groan and go, oh, you've got a 9 jump with a large pulse. Got an ERPPC, which that's fine. It's still going to hits like a ton of bricks. Yeah, I like this. I have never used one. Interestingly, it has a Innosphere XL engine. There you go.
Yep. So that means it's still susceptible to side torso hits, but it can jump. If it's a not jump 9 head capper, decently armored, are you really going to get into that torso that often?
Yeah, that's right. So it should be reasonably survivable just because of its mobility. If you're not jumping anywhere between 7 and 9 to get that +4 on your targeting, for the new players, the further you move, the harder it is to hit you. So you want to be, if you're jumping less than 7 hexes, because 7 hexes will give you that +4 target modifier to hit you. If you're jumping less than that, you're doing something wrong or you're in a bad position. So this is a good one to learn about how far you need to jump to get that maximum.
Agreed.
Right, that's the last of the Griffins on the recognition guide. Up next, oh god.
Oh, don't say that. This is starting to look spicy.
Hellbringers, or Lokis, if you're an Innisphere. I really don't like Hellbringers at all. They're terrible. They did try to resurrect them in the recognition guides to give them some different loadouts. Okay, I'll let Pirate start with this one.
So I really want Loki's to work. I'm really a big fan of they're a big part of the lore, and their glass cannons. I like glass cannons where they just do a ton of damage for low armor. This one looks like it might even be less armored than the Griffin seen on the side torsos.
Yeah, it is. It has less
Yeah.
armor.
So it's as less armored than a Inner Sphere 55 tonner at 65 for a clan. This one though, 2 ER PPCs, clan. Alright, so you've got 2 head cappers, 3 ER mediums, that's good support weapons. An ATM-6, all right, you can play around with, different ammo types and have good support weapons. 2 AP Gauss, crit seeking. If it wasn't for the fact that this thing has no business getting within about 14 hexes of an enemy, I like I like it. But if you get within 14 hexes or less, like you're just gonna explode.
Yeah, look,
It's got case 2 as well, I've just seen. So that's something to keep it a bit more survival. And they basically put all the ammo into that right torso with the case 2. So at least they've gone, okay, we suck, but at least if we blow up, then you can't do too much to us. But yeah.
I didn't notice that they did put all the
And they
ammo.
put and they put the AP Gauss rifles, which I think explode too. I'm not
Mhm.
sure.
I think you're right.
So yeah, at least they thought about that.
Yeah, that may not have been the smartest design choice to have a heavily fragile mech and stick all of the ammo in one side. Well, no, all of it in one side. Okay, just
Yeah.
show your left side and torso twist every single time you fire.
It has 34-17 double strength heat
Think so it can fire its 2 ER PPCs and throw down an ATM. And then if something gets in closer, you can always drop a PPC and then bring in your ER medium lasers into play. So at least at sniping, it can actually snipe properly with the ATM. Like maybe with the ATM, you do 2 bunches of extended ranges and then maybe a high explosive as a hail close. I don't know. Anyway, it is what it is. They've tried to improve it, and it's not bad. But at 2.4 BV, 2,444, it's cheap-ish, but that's still what's the 3-4 pilot. I always try to think of clan mechs 3-4 pilots. So I always try and add that 25% kicker
penalty. So that's getting on to close to 3,000.
I'd rather have a adder prime for
Yeah.
500 BV less.
Yeah, so I mean the Griffin once again is still cheaper, faster, more armor. It's
Yeah.
they're trying to make it. That's enough on the Loki T. Let's move to the Loki F.
So
Okay.
this one looks.
This is the one. If I was going to pilot one, I would probably pilot this. That's not saying much.
Why would you pilot this one?
I like LB 10Xs, and this has 2 of them. And the ER medium lasers are a solid backup, so you can hit at range, reasonable range. So we got 2 LB10Xs, 4 ER mediums, and an SRM6, which I'd probably just put some Infernos in.
This looks like a good mech for Solaris. Just get in there and get real dirty really fast.
Yeah, the problem is it's
only got 1 ton per autocannon, which is a bit sad. I just saw that, so maybe I wouldn't use this. I don't know.
it's fine. It's got 2 crit seekers.
Cheap, 1,839 BV.
It's really cheap as a clan mech go. So you could put it with something else. You could run this in
Just firing cluster round. And if you lose it, you're like, well, that sucks. But it was, as clan mechs go, it's cheap.
True. This might be a good finisher. You soften them up with something like that Griffin, and then you have this coming up the sides, and then it just bursts in. It can run 8, so you can get a little defensive modifier. Just burst in there and just start, crit seeking the schnoz out of everything that isn't moving.
But I would probably never use a Hellbringer. I don't think even in all my plastic mechs, I traded all my Lokis away because I was like, I'm never going to use it because I hate them.
That's fair. What about this next one though?
The Loki G. I like its weapons. So it's got an improved heavy large laser,
That's not what caught my eye though.
3 small lasers, and the improved heavy Gauss rifle, which is kind of cool. So this is a mixed tech for the new players. So mixed tech is basically where you have a mix of clan and Innisphere tech on any kind of mech. It's then called mixed tech. You'll see that as the years go by in like the Republic era, Ilclan era, there are a lot more mechs with mixed tech. Innisphere have heaps of clan tech, even clans take on Innisphere tech. So it starts to become a lot more hybridized.
Difference between a heavy Gauss rifle and well, that's already it's got different range brackets. Like it does more damage the closer you get, but improved.
So I'm going to have to go off my memory because let me just quickly check Sana. I'm pretty sure the improved heavy. How does it work?
I know.
I think it improves. So it improves the damage, and there's no drop off. But it's not as much as it would be. So you do 22 points of damage at all ranges, as opposed to the heavy Gauss rifle, which had a drop off as it got further and further out. But it would do more damage. It would do more damage up close, but less damage. So this one's kind of 22 points at all ranges, which is pretty impressive.
So, yeah, I mean, this is probably the most outside the heavy Gauss rifle in short range. This is probably the heaviest single damage per location weapon you could fire.
Yes, it's heavy. It's 20 tons, so it is heavier than even the heavy Gauss rifle. But force per ton, so that's not bad. I like them. I haven't never used one. I used to use heavy Gauss rifles all the time. But I would use an improved heavy Gauss. 22 points. That's a lot. That's going to cause piling skill checks out to 19 hexes.
When you really want that light mech to die on the pull of one trigger.
Yes, exactly right. So that's not bad. And it's got 12 shots, so it can bang out a few. It's the enemy has to deal with him because you don't want an improved heavy Gauss rifle or even improved heavy large laser being fired at you. But the assault, even an assault mech's going to have to deal with it. So you have to spend at least a turn or two to try and deal with it. If I'm the Loki, I am trying to use my maximum running speed at all times to try and keep that target modifier up against me. With the improved heavy Gauss rifle, you probably don't want to be doing that. It's difficult. It's maybe just park yourself in some woods and pray.
Either that, or if you see a mech that's fallen over and it takes a turn to stand up and gets a really low fire,
Yeah,
that's
peg it.
yeah. This is a long range autocannon 20.
So I don't know. Loki's are just shit, and I'm sure there's Loki lovers out there, but
Oh, I'm a low key lover, and I would see, but I'm a low key lover ironically because I know every time I put it on the table, it's going to die in 2 turns.
yeah. So because the Loki itself doesn't have any endosteel, doesn't have any ferrophromatosis. There's no weight savings. Has an XL engine. Even if they put on endosteel and just put all that weight savings into armor, I'd be perfect. Even if they did ferrofibrous and went all that weight savings into armor. But they didn't. I guess not every mech can be a good mech. Some mechs just have to be the Loki.
So, Catalyst, as you're watching this, we need a heavy armored Loki just to just to lull somebody.
There
What?
is one. They did the Mark II, and that's much better.
Oh my!
Yeah, I think it's in the recognition guides. We could probably talk about them coming up.
Absolutely.
It's in the books. It's in one of the TROs somewhere, and they might have put it into the recognition guides. I'm not sure. I'm sure there'll be people yelling at us as they read this, going, "What are you talking about? You're insane. You don't know anything. You guys research."
We'll have to get the Iron Wind model to do some research on it soon, I guess.
Yes, but there is they did an update of the Loki. Did they call it? Did they call it the Hellbringer? I think they just called it the Loki Mark II.
I know there's a Loki Hell of some sort.
Yeah, that's the one. It's that one.
Ah, okay. But what's
Yeah,
this?
It's the Loki Mark II.
Uh, so probably very different than
It's
the J, which is the next one.
yeah. So the J is a jumping Hellbringer 585.
It's just like Mech Commander. The J means jump.
J for jump. So I think we forgot to talk about the other. All the Hellbringers move 5'8". They don't have any set pods for their jump jets, so they can put them in. They just put them in as a pod, so you don't have any fixed pods just jumping. So that's useful.
That is one good thing about the Hellbringer. You don't have fixed like the Thor. They've always got the jump jets, so you always have to have jump jets. This one, you can take them, put them on, take them off. So this one 1 PPC, 1 Ultra 5, 2 meds, an active probe, always useful, especially in MRC. We'll get to that in a minute. 1 Streak SRM4, 2 medium lasers, and 1 anti-missile system.
Pretty standard loadout. Shoots high,
shoots long, shoots short.
This loadout reminds me of when I get hungry at like 2 in the morning and go in my fridge and try to make dinner real quick. Like it's kind of all over the place.
bit of everything. Why the active probe is useful is where Pirate and I play a lot of our games in MRC. When they do tournaments and things, they try to do scenarios where active probes have meaning, where they will help you scan something, or it's like especially in double blind and things like that, you can use your active probe to try and figure out where people are. So I do like vac probes. Outside of MRC, they're not that great. But
there's one other rule that MRC usually turns on, which is active probes give you a -1 to hit units in woods. So you see somebody who's like, aha, I'm gonna go sit in these woods and stay still for the next 10 turns and just snipe all day. Well, guess what? This Hellbringer has a -1 to hit you and you got no TMM.
There you go. Well, that's kind of, it's fine. It's a bit all, they've just tried to make it a generalist with a bit of jump.
It's fine. Once again, I'd never use it, but I'm sure there's people out there who love the Lokis, and I salute you.
It's okay for them to be wrong.
It's okay for them to be wrong. Enjoy what you like playing. It's just that the Loki for a new player could bring you a lot of tears because it's not survivable.
No, park it in the back, in trees, behind a level 1 hill, and take pot shots all day, or use that TMM to try to be annoying enough that someone wants to take shots at something else that's easier to hit. It does a lot of damage. There's no way you can deny that. It's just, it does a lot of damage for 2 turns.
Yeah, and there are some light mechs with almost more armor than you, so just be aware of that. Okay, so that's goodbye Lokis, and we're almost finished. We've got a couple more mechs to go, so I think we're doing okay. So the Dominator. So this is one of the new mechs designed for the Rec Guide. Wasn't seen before. It was in some of the books and things like that. Some of the novels, they talked about the Dominator. So the Dominator
is a clan mech. Moves 585, but it does have a supercharger, so it moves up to running speed of 10. Has ER-PPC, a Streak SRM6, ER large, targeting computer, and a rear small laser for all the good that will do. It's very well armored. I think it's pretty much got its maximum armor for its tonnage. It's got 18 double strength heat sinks, so it certainly is heat neutral. Pretty sure. 27, 30. Yes, heat neutral. Exactly.
Which is good.
I wonder if that small laser. So I notice a lot of mechs, and the retcon guides kind of call it out too. They usually have some sort of flaw of literally anything, like a Turkina B with random machine guns when it doesn't really fit the profile. The awesome having a small laser in the head, just kind of because there, like I guess they just had leftover tonnage. But this one here, the ER small pointing backwards, I wonder if that's there specifically so when people start trying to customize mechs, they can go, oh, I'm going to flip that forward, like it's an easy choice. Or it does 5 damage. That sounds like a dash or H defense mechanism.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of these little mechs with just like a ER small laser in the rear. So, yeah. Is it a deliberate design choice? Maybe. I don't know. It's only half a ton, so it's not taking too much away. But it is an easy mod. I guess we don't. Oh, we don't look at quirks as well. We haven't really discussed quirks of mechs because it's something that's not very used in classic. It's used in mega mech sometimes, but we won't worry about mech quirks for now. We can use that in another episode.
Bit expensive, this one, though.
Yes, that is the issue. It's 3,018. Yeah, it's very expensive because it's got everything. The kitchen. You've got a supercharger. You've got a targeting computer. You've got jump jets. You've got it's also a clan mech. So, is it better than a Timberwolf A, which is a Timberwolf A is about 2,800? Is it better?
I'd rather take a Timberwolf.
Yeah, the advantage about the Dominator, it's got jump jets.
It is a bit faster, but the Timberwolf A is, I still personally think, one of the best clan heavy mechs ever made. That's my gold standard to hold up against every other mech that gets built in that weight range. I like the Dominator. I'd probably give it a go, but you'd be probably having to team it up with a Loki because the Loki's so cheap.
You know what?
So there we go.
That actually is a good pair. I'm gonna put this Dominator on the field. It just looks mean and scary, just the physical model itself there. And that ER large and an ER PPC with a targeting computer, that's 2 head cappers with -1 to hit. Yeah, that thing could be your bullet sponge while the Loki is just like, I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna stick my arms over the hill and please don't shoot me. Shoot the Dominator instead.
So whoever I play next in Mega Mech, I'm going to bring the Dominator and I'm going to bring the Loki F with the 2 LB10Xs. There we go, and I'll build the rest of the army around that just to see how we go because the Dominator is so expensive. Like there are some assault mechs, like it's expensive, but it's also really good. Like it's a well-made. It's really leaned into its role as a skirmisher. It's fast. It's mobile. It's accurate. I like it. I would give it a go.
Oh.
Just.
What about not to cut you off?
What's that? Sorry.
I'd say, oops, I'm about to roll down, but I didn't want to cut you off.
Yeah, no, let's go to the Dominator. To the Dominator 2.
So then insert the now there's 2 of them meme.
Yes. So this one's slightly different. So it only moves 585. They've removed the supercharger, so it's going to make it a little bit cheaper. They've changed the weapon loadout a little bit. I also like this one too. So what? ER large laser, ER medium laser, an LRM-20 with Artemis 5, another ER large laser, and a targeting computer. And that's still that small ER laser in the head at rear facing.
Now does the LRM-20 get a -1 from the targeting computer?
No, but it gets a -1 for the Artemis 5. So it is like a targeting computer. It is like a targeting computer for the LRM. So it keeps that weapon. Everything's got that -1 to hit.
So that makes a 3 pilot really more like a 2-4.
2-4. Yep.
And that still has the 2 ER larges are still able to destroy the head of most mechs. So, if you're firing, you've got a 2.5% chance roughly. So every turn, you got a 1 in 20 shot of killing the mech.
Yeah. So, it's a little bit cheaper at 2,906. 34 heat sinks, so it doesn't have any problems with heat.
Yeah, it's still really good. Could you afford to put a Dominator and a Dominator 2 on the field? Sure, but then you're really scraping together parts to fill out the rest of your force. So maybe one or the other.
Yeah, I think if I was to run, well, if I was to run one or the other, this would
I'm just
pair.
going to charge my phone before it dies. I just got to go and quickly grab a cable.
Oh, yep, go for it.
I can still talk. I'm walking around the house at the same time. Sure, people love that.
Fair enough. It's all right. They're seeing my screen, but impromptu tour. Now, this would be one that if you were to pair it with, say, that Timberwolf A you're talking about, that's the one with all the SRM6s in it, right?
No, Timberwolf A's, 2 ERPPCs, a 3 med pulses, and a streak SRM6.
Gotcha. Yeah.
With 40 heat sinks, so it can do quite well.
I'm probably thinking then of the S or something. There's one Timberwolf.
Yes, yeah. You're thinking of the S, and that's quite a cheap Timberwolf.
But it's cheap. Maybe pulse lasers, but I remember mostly it has a bunch of SRM 6s. So something like that, where this thing could roll up at long range, start tearing apart some holes. Timberwolf S comes in, starts exploiting those holes, and generally is annoying. I think those two would pair really well.
Yeah, this is where people, I don't know if they use Megamech, but Megamech's good to you put your mechs in and you can work out all your BVs and things like that. It's a really good tool. You don't want to use Megamech as a gaming platform.
To use it as a list creator and just to mess around with quick. It does all the BV calc. You don't sit there with a pen and paper just to work out your lists. But yeah, I think the Dominator with a Timberwolf, because the Dominator is a Clan Wolf mech, surprise, surprise, they would work quite well together. But you do want... They are expensive, so that's their downfall. You're not going to get a lot of bang. Let's say if you're at 10,000, we seem to play a lot of games at 10,000. You're going to be at least at close to 4,000 on one mech
with a 3-4 pilot. With a Dominator.
That's all right. Two to 3 mechs and 2 battle armor. There's your star right there.
Pretty much, yeah.
You could do this with a Loki, and you could probably squeeze in a Timberwolf and maybe a battle armor. I don't know. I'll have to have maybe in the next session we could talk the first 5 or 10 minutes. We can just talk about some of the builds that we did from the previous rec guides, putting them together. I don't know.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Just as a quick recap for people to go back and have a look. This is what we came up with. Anyway.
Now, this is a
grasshopper.
This is a rebuild of a beloved Inner Sphere mech, enough so they made it come out in plastic in the force packs. And that is an interesting loadout there.
Yeah, 4 light PPCs, an ER large laser, and an LRM5. It only moves 464. That's most grasshoppers move only that. 70 tons. It's a reasonably good, heavy, solid, been around since day dot mech.
So
it's a good learning mech.
I like grasshoppers to learn, for people to learn on. There's lots of different variants.
But anyway,
I also like that it's 32 heat sinks, and if you fire everything, if you fire all 4 light PPCs in an ER large, you're at 32. Then the next turn you fire the LRM5 instead of one of the light PPCs. Then you can flip back. This has good. You said it's good for new people. It's pretty heat neutral. It's pretty decent range. It's got a little bit about the flipping of the weapon types. One totally underutilized feature though is it has hand actuators like all the other grasshoppers. So if you don't fire one of those PPCs, you can punch for 7, taking 14.
Yep.
And punching is a little bit harder to hit with a punch, but 1 in 6 chance of hitting the head.
Which is nice.
And
yeah.
Even if you don't hit the head, you still have a chance of, if you opened up a torso, well, I could shoot this PPC and there's like a 1 in whatever percent chance of hitting that particular torso. Or if I punch, yeah, it is harder, but I've got a 1 in 6 chance of sticking my hand in there and grabbing some internals and ripping them out.
That's it.
It's got case 2, which I've just seen, which is nice. I mean, you've only got the LRM5 ammo, but it's protected.
It's got no XL engine, so it's quite survivable.
It's slow, 464, so it's really using those jump jets to probably just hop around and to cover as best it can. It can brawl a little bit, but it's mostly, it probably wants to stay at sort of medium rangies and just fire with its PPCs and large laser. But it's quite capable of, if anything gets in close, it can, it does have its fists. PPCs do have a minimum range of 3, so it is saying you don't really want to get super close. You want to be medium range. 12 hexes, between 6 and 12 hexes probably with this one. And kind of like the grasshopper, just kind of hop around. 1754 BV. It's reasonably priced.
This looks like, so there's not a lot of mechs I'd say this to. This looks like a fun one to play.
Yeah, I like grasshoppers. They're a bit slow, but I've always liked grasshoppers. They're just a solid, heavy, well armored, reasonable amount of energy weapons, and they're known for their energy weapon loadouts. Usually, plenty of heat sinks. You can't really go wrong.
I don't mind them at all.
Yeah.
They're a good learning mech to get used to, and then
Even a lot of long-term players still use grasshoppers because they know what they're getting and they're solid and dependable.
That LRM5 though, you could use that for smoke rounds instead of actual damage.
Yeah, a lot of people do use that LRM5
to put in different kinds of ordnance for their thing. Smoke rounds is one of them.
Okay, lucky last.
I don't think I've ever even seen a paper doll for this type of thing before.
It does look
Kind of strange. But, so, the last mech is a Goliath C. This is a quad mech, so it has 4 legs, no arms. So it kind of looks like a horse, an elephant. And the paper doll, for those new players, it looks quite different to a other mech, which might have just had the arms and the legs. You'll see them when you see the paper doll readout. So this one is a clan mech. Actually, it's mixed tech, but it is a clan mech. The Goliath C, the C designation usually stands for clan. Only moves 3/5, but it is an assault mech at 80 tons. It has 4 anti-armor pods called B pods, Gauss rifle, an ER large, and a micro pulse laser. They're all in a turret, so that can go 360 degrees. It has an ATM-9, which is like a missile launcher with can fire long, medium, or short-range missiles. Targeting computer medium laser.
Now, tell me about these anti-battle armor pods. I've never actually fired one before.
Yeah, I had to look in the book a bit earlier about them. They're not that great. So they do, what was it, 20 points of damage per 100. Let me go back and check again. They do 20 points of damage per pod. So he's got 4 of them, split into groups of 5. So you'll do obviously 4 groups of 5 with your B pod. Which will, when you got an elemental, they have 10 points of armor and 1 point for the pilot. So you would need 3 of these pods, three shots out of 4 on one guy to kill 1 elemental. So they're not that great.
They will hit infantry as well,
but they won't affect any other form of enemy.
So this is basically your anti-swarm.
Yeah, so they could kill. They automatically hit too. There's no roll. So how many they get? They're going to kill 4. They could kill a whole. So basically, an elemental squad of 5, they could kill them all because there's 4 pods that shoot 4. Yes, so they could kill an entire point of elementals. So I guess that was why they were designed. So yes,
they're okay. They're relatively cheap. Don't take up much tonnage, and a quad mech because they can't brush off stuff. So that's why you'll see a lot of quad mechs with B pods to try and stop this.
Make that enemy unit disinterested in trying to swarm them. A turret is quite new. You'll see a lot of quad mechs with turrets because they can't torso twist. That's the other downside of a quad mech, is they can't torso twist. So they have a turret that can spin around and shoot 360 degrees. However, as what Pirate was saying earlier about this turret on this mech.
So, why would you want your long-range weapons in a turret, though? Because if you're a long range, you're probably knowing which direction you're facing, and you're going to be able to shoot someone in that long-range bracket. Seems a little bit of a waste to put the long-range weapons in the turret, because if they're behind you, something more terrible has happened if you're trying to hit them with a Gauss rifle.
Yeah, so you might have been better off putting
Like the ATM and
maybe the missile or something
into the turret, so it can, if you get something trying to hit you in the back, you can just open up with the high explosive ATM 9s.
Oh, I'd either, hey, behind me, here, eat 36 points of potential damage versus, I'm going to shoot you with a Gauss rifle and it's got a minimum range.
So yeah, I mean the Goliath C at 3.5 is probably not going to be moving around very much anyway. You might just move to reposition or turn a little bit. The other downsides of quads is they don't get as much internal space. Their legs have only got a couple of spots, not like an arm, which will have multiple spare critical slots. So a quad is can be very constrictive. They can't get a lot of, you wouldn't want to put endosteel and ferrofibrosis on, maybe just one or the other. In this case, this one doesn't even have anything. It's just got a basic fusion engine and no other weight savings, but it's used all its space because quads don't get as many criticals. So that's a downside. The bonus of a quad is they can kick in the rear. They can do what's called a mule kick. So they can kick people in the rear. Most people who know about quads don't tend to stand.
they might stand 1 hex away.
But then again, if you've got a turret, it does how quad mechs are played with and against, because it does change the game.
Yeah, if you're having to stay 1 hex back or you keep a little bit of your distance, then I could see the long range weapons being in the turret because, the minimum range is going to be less impacted by it.
I will say down in the later recognition guides,
There are some nice quad mechs with turrets, but we can talk about them later.
Now, we did miss. I think we missed 2 mechs here, though.
Yeah, how did we miss the? Oh, my lord, we missed. Sorry, we did. We missed the commando and the
Pack hunter. So they just have one. They just have one recognition guide one in here. So we've got the Commando 9S.
I like this mech already.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of jazzed about this. So he walks 7, runs 11, and he
has a what he has mask, so he can run up to. No, he has a supercharger. My mistake. So he can run up to 14. So he's a very fast boy. Only 25 tons and inner sphere. Pirate.
So the reason I like him is just because the light PPC, alright, that's 5 damage at pretty long range, 2 MML3s, you can kind of pink away with those LRMs and then switch to SRMs when you get up close. The SRM2, does that say it's a one-shot?
improved 1-shot.
Never fired that before, but I'm imagining it's an improved SRM2. It's got 2 one-shots. So they're basically rocket launchers that aren't rocket launchers.
Yeah, the improved 1-shot. What does it do?
But the fact is, it runs 14 with that mask, I think. Where is it? Yep. So you can really get a high TMM. You can basically have a walking SRM6 that you get to roll twice on instead of just once. I like this. The armor's okay. It can take some of the light mech hits, like an inner sphere medium laser.
And it's got case 2 to protect that ammo, so it's not just going to die when it if it gets an internal on its ammo, which is quite nice. It might even keep going.
Yeah, I would run this mech.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's quite cheap. It's 719. Obviously, most people who are getting into the game would probably have a Commando Plastic Mini because I think it was in the is it in the box set, A Game of Armor Combat?
It's in one of those, yeah, because the same
Yeah.
box wherever the catapult's from.
Yeah, so it's not a bad little mech. I think it's actually pretty good, as a little light mech goes. Good harasser.
And then the lucky last. Lucky last is the Pack Hunter 5. So this was Pack Hunter was created when Clan Wolf left and joined the inner sphere and got their own little world way back in the day. The Pack Hunters, this is fast. So he's 30 tons. He walks 9, runs 14, and jumps 7. That's a pretty good movement profile. Only has one weapon, and that's a Clan ERPPC.
So basically, it's the Clan Hollander.
Yeah, reasonable amount of armor. I mean, it can take
Center torso of 15, so it can take a Clan ERPPC to its center torso without going. It will lose all its armor, but how much? It's 1,644 points, which is it's over double what the Commando just was, and it's only 5. It's 30. It's only 5 more tons heavier, so it's quite expensive, but very hard to pin down. It's got that 7 jump, so you're always going to get that 4+4 TMM. It runs 14, so you can just run and still get that +4 TMM. It's not going to overheat unless it's jumping all the time. It's pretty solid.
So
It can take a couple of hits.
yeah, I had to look up what the difference was because I know the original Pack Hunter is an ERPPC and it jumps. So
Yeah.
I had to look up in Sarna and compared to the original, it looks like this is more armored and faster.
Pack Hunter didn't have any endosteel or ferrofibrosis, the original Pack Hunter. I'm not sure. Difference I could see. I think it just had no weight saving.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the original in flex sheets now just to take a look.
Okay. That's where I would say they got the savings to put in more armor. Yes, so it's only got standard armor. I don't think it had. Oh, and the standard fusion engine, so it didn't have an XL engine. There you go. This one does. That's where the weight savings, so they could max out the armor. But it is now
Makes sense.
a lot more expensive.
Yeah, I don't. So 1644 for a jumping ERPPC. I'd almost rather take that original Loki we talked about earlier for like 20. This is at 4-5 piloting skill as well. I'd almost rather take that Loki we were talking about, and just have him do the same job. Or was he the?
Because if you want something with speed to grab objectives, there are other mechs that can do that cheaper. So it's not a great objective grabber because it's so expensive. It's fine. Yeah, it's the cost. Do you want to sink for 1,644 points before putting a claim pilot in? So you're getting what, close to 2,000, just over 2,000.
Yeah.
You want EV of a Pack Hunter, where I could probably get a lot cheaper clan mech to do similar things.
And with the three engines on the torso with that XL engine too.
Ah, yes, it's an inner sphere XL engine, so it is a mixed. Yeah, okay. It's hard to hit, but if you do hit it, it's fragile.
Yeah, one inner sphere PPC and is stripped, one clan PPC, which is probably what it's going to be facing, and it's gone internal. In fact, it'll crump it down to 2 structure remaining if you take a 15-point damage weapon to a torso.
But what I like about these recognition guides is they give you more choice. There are more mechs to pick from, and I think having more choice, even if they are terrible choices, is always a good thing.
You know, I don't always use the ancho, pepper, and sesame seeds and other stuff in my spice cabinet. But I do like having the option of pulling them out if I wanted to.
That's it. That's exactly right. Well, that has brought us to the end of Recognition Guide 1. If anyone has any, like, what we could do to make this easier or better for people to get their heads around, if you want to see something different or something else, then please let us know. I'll let Pirate put this up.
I'm not sure where I'm going to put it, but I'll put it up somewhere.
Put it up somewhere, and you can let me know that I can link it to other people who want to see this as well. But yeah, we'll try and keep things a bit more, we'll try and... This is our first time doing it, so I'm sure as we go along the recognition guides, we'll get more structure. I'll actually make some notes before we start. I hope that help people work through things.
Yeah.
Figure out. It's not saying what's good and what's bad, even though Lokis are bad. We're just trying to where you might use it or how you would use something if you were to use it. We're not,
Well, put it this way: prove us wrong. So if you say, "What?
Yeah.
I'm a Loki fanboy. This is actually called the Hellbringer, and I'm going to patrol your butt for it." Let's
it.
you know what? Bring it. Let's play it on the table.
I'd love to see them being used well because there has to be a place on the battlefield for them. There are so many mechs to choose from, and it's always good to have variety. All right, I think that's it.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
We'll do Recognition Guide 2 next week.
Sounds good. Catch y'all later.